Hello there. Welcome back to Empower Your Soul, another car channeling edition over here. I'm actually really excited because my team told me to just hit record right after I was chatting about guides in mediumship readings. And so I'm going to continue that conversation and talk about how do you actually connect with guides anyway. This is probably my number one question from people who are in my classes, from people who aren't spiritually connected at all, but they want to know who's on their team, who's the angels that they have. And so this can be a rather mysterious topic because there are not a lot of people who teach you these specific how-tos in terms of connecting to your guides. So I wanted to break it down and give you the secret tricks that I know of that will allow you to connect with your guides, meet your guides, and develop that bond and that connection. Now, it's really interesting because when I started my journey, my first mentor told me, and I have to admit, she was an excellent medium, pain in the butt, but excellent medium, that she does not have a relationship with her spiritual team. They don't introduce themselves to her. They don't. And that is literally the only person I've ever met that their team does not talk to them. So out of everyone else that I've ever talked with, I just want to tell you, likelihood is very high that your team wants to talk and work with you. Okay. So if you're not getting anything, let's talk about these different ways that you can. But more likely than not, if you have been trying to engage with your spirit team and you haven't been able to, you just haven't found the way that works for you yet. Because there's a lot of people that out there put out these amazing guided meditations, meet your guide, spirit guide guided meditations. And to be honest, that's how I started to learn who my guide was and work with my guide. But I have to tell you, it was weeks and weeks and weeks of literally these guided meditations, hoping to see something, hoping to hear something, hoping to meet them. And what is so funny is if someone had taught me how they communicate, I probably could have connected with them right off the bat. But I was expecting, and here, maybe you're expecting this too, while I'm meditating, a physical form to come into my awareness in your mind or in your physical space and talk to me like you are hearing the words that I am talking to you. And here is the reality. It does not necessarily work that way very often, especially as you're learning to connect, especially as you're developing your clairs. Instead, your team is going to use the clair that is easiest for you to receive information and often work in that space. And so this can lead to, essentially, energetic Pictionary, trying to figure out what the fuck is my team sending me? And it's no different for those of you that are mediums than how you engage with a spirit mediumistically. And so you have to learn the language of spirit first. You can't just, maybe you can't just like hop into a guided meditation in the middle of your day while your brain's doing a million different things and expect that spirit's just going to pop in your head, override everything that you're thinking and show themselves to you. Maybe it does happen, but it's pretty rare if it does. Because working with spirit is very subtle. Working with spirit is learning energy. It's learning how they communicate. It's learning the types of messages, how the messages come in. And dropping your expectations is going to be your number one key to success in engaging with your team. So let's move out of the clairs for a second here. And I just want to talk about what are ways that you can connect and meet your guides without having any basis of the clairs, spirit interactions. If you are like totally new off the streets and you want to meet your guides, how do you do it? And the easiest way that I tell people to do it is to buy a deck of tarot cards. And I like tarot cards personally because they have personality. Oracle cards are lovely, but a lot of them tend to have very positive things to say. They're going to be like, affirming and empowering. And I want the dirt because let's be real, spirit guides are like real souls that have unique personalities, unique souls. And so you're going to want you're going to want a few cards that showcase different personalities. Maybe you can use an archetypes deck if you don't have a tarot deck, so that you can really dig into who are my guides. So when I started to meet my guides, I had a witch tarot deck, and I would shuffle my cards and I would say, what is the personality of my guide? And maybe a court card comes out, right? Maybe you're seeing a page, a knight, a queen, a king. Fantastic, right? Maybe one of those pops out, and then it's probably a little easier to pick up on the personality. If you're getting the 3 of cups, right? Your guy is going to be somebody that is fun and part of the gang and energetic, right? It's a party with them. So you're going to be able to use the cards to get the personality of your guides, even if you can't see them, feel them, know them, have them show up in your dreams. And by the way, dreaming is another way, obviously, you can connect with your guides. I'm not going to go there because could come in dreams. There you go. There's that segment. And so using tarot cards gives you a way for you to connect using just freaking cards, right? So another way you can do this is through a pendulum. So if you have a pendulum and or a pendant on a long chain, you can ask yes, no questions. So you're going to want to determine, and you're welcome to YouTube this, what a yes looks like with a pendulum, what a no looks like with a pendulum. And then you can ask it questions. Like you can be like, is my guide, not that they have gender, but do they present as a male or a female? Or androgynous if you want to go there too. Is this my main guide? You can ask like 20 question personality things to get that. Right? You can, and all it does is it's using your intuition. You're connecting to your soul's energy and your spirit guide's energy to answer these questions. And how freaking cool is that, right? Because they want to work with you. They're trying to work with you, and you just have to get to know them. You can ask them, I'm pausing for a second here because there's 2 different directions I want to take. I'm gonna take path A before I forget, because if I don't say it, I know I will forget. And if you have multiple guides, you can do this multiple times. You can ask how many guides want to meet me right now, right? And maybe you pull, again, the 3 of cups, so there's 3 there, right? Maybe you just shuffle until however many cards pull out. Maybe those are the 3 personalities of your team, right? Like you just have to set the intention and ask the question first so that you know what answer you're getting. Does that make sense? And so if you're looking to meet multiple guides, then you're going to do the same thing. You're just going to pull another card. I'm going to work with guide number 2. Tell me what you're here for. What's your personality, etc. Okay. So, and then just to level set as well, I've said this before, but you generally have one main guide, generally. Your main guide can be an individual person or an individual soul or a collective, which is happening more and more in my readings. You could have a collective that comes forward as your spirit, your primary spirit guide. That's fine too. And so but you're going to gather additional guides along the way as you're learning things. If you're doing mediumship, you have a mediumship guide. If you're doing Reiki, you have a Reiki guide. If you are, becoming an empty nester and your kid's about to go into college, you have a life coach transition guide. That's what they do, right? And so it's limitless how many times you want to do this exercise to meet your guides. I would probably stick to 3 or 4, right? I don't know. That's me. And I think those are probably your easiest bets in terms of guides. Oh, there's one more they're showing me, is that you can actually, if you come from, I guess any faith or background, you can go and look at deities, angels, ascended masters, gods, goddesses, whatever, and you can just scroll through them online, in books, until literally you stop in your tracks and you're like, why can't I move off this page? Why do my eyes keep going to this name? Because 9 times out of 10, that's your guide too. I remember the first time I was looking for a pendulum. I didn't like my old pendulum, or it broke. So I went on Etsy and I was looking at all the different pendulums on Etsy. And then I got fucking stuck on I think it was a Raphael pendulum. I had like a little Archangel Raphael on the back of it. I think that's what it was. It was like the little charm on the end of it. And I stopped. It's like the world, you know those stories where when you meet like your soulmate and it's like the world spun and time stopped. Like that's what it's like when you figure out what guide you have. It's the same thing. And it's so freaking cool. So you can always just use your intuition to see where you pulled towards, or there's certain guides or angels that you've always resonated with, certain deities like Diana. Is a big goddess that I've always resonated with. I'm Italian. Diana was very, very big in Italy. So it doesn't surprise me at all that like she's also my guide too. I am not going to fight anybody on are they real or not, because I think everything is real. I think gods are real. I think multiple deities are real. I think goddesses are real, right? Like there is nothing to me off limits in the spirit world, because who's to say there's any sort of limitation on what's real and not real? Right? That's my personal, I do think there's one quote unquote source that we're connected to, but I do think there's multiple sources. Oh God, we're going down the rabbit hole. I'm bringing us back up. So the other way to connect with your guides, if you know the language of the clairs, I'm just going to make that assumption here. I'm not going to teach you what that looks like today, but you're going to use your clairs to gather information from your guides. So in a guided meditation, you need to, or anyway, you want to connect to your guides, guided meditation or not, you're going to need to settle your brain. You are going to need to stop your thought processes. You're going to need to quiet and calm your mind so that you make space for spirit to come in. And once that mind is quiet and clear and you're taking that time to ground your energy, right? Then you can set the intention to allow a spirit guide in. And if you are doing mediumship, they're going to come in very similar to how you receive information in mediumship. It's the same language. So you might hear things in your head. You might see things in your head. You might feel things on your body, right? You might have all of these different clear experiences for your guides. Maybe you can hear words more or channeled information or energy more from guides than mediumship, and that's fine too. It might come in slightly different, but they're going to leverage a lot of the same ways that you already connect with spirit. So you're going to invite them in and read them essentially like they're a dead person, even though they're not dead. They're in the spirit world. And so they might send you a little bit of evidence in terms of who are they, what do they look like, what's their personality. Of course, you can't validate any of this yet. Please hold on that thought. But you're going to bring in this information, and then if you want, you can have them bring in a message for you, and then just open up. Like you can ask questions too and ask them to give you answers in the form of clairs. So you're going to read and talk to your guides just like you do any other spirit entity that you chat with. It's no different. The topics are going to be different. It's different because you can't validate it necessarily with a sitter. There's a lot more trust involved, but it's the same method of connection. And so that's legit it. Like, it's really not rocket science, at least in terms of explaining it. Practice is a whole other thing. Am I right? And so the last thing I want to leave you with is how you can validate what you are receiving from your team. Now, it's really hard to necessarily validate all of these specific little things that they might tell you, but you can ask them to give you evidence or validation that you will see in the next 24 to 48 hours that allows you to feel good about the accuracy of your reading. Right? Show me a sticker of a brown dog, okay? Or you could say, what evidence, what am I going to see in the next couple days that's a little out there that allow you to like let them lead and tell you what you're going to see, right? There's so many different ways you can work with the guides. And by the way, working with guides should be somewhat evidential anyway. So I'll never forget when my guide showed up. Spilling the beans, everybody. He looked like Jamie from Outlander, right? Like, I'm obsessed with Scotland. I'm obsessed with Outlander, or at least I was while they were still in Scotland. I'm not interested at all now that they're in Americas. And so the fact that this guide comes forward in my, and I'm not expecting it, like like everyone expects like the monk or the Native American, right? Right? Or like, like Jesus Christ to show up himself. But none of that showed up. A fucking Scottish Highlander showed up. Like, and this to me is proof that I'm not making it up. I mean, legit, because why the fuck would I think that my guide is a Scottish man? I would never think that. That is the last thing I think I would have expected to show up in my guided meditation. So I just needed to let you know that if in your meditation things, coincidences, etc. happen, it's not, as long as you're setting the intention and your mind's blank and this information is coming in and or you're shuffling these cards, right? It's not your brain making it up if you're in that meditative state. It might pop in once or twice, but you also have to learn to trust what you're getting from spirit. And that's part of the journey with your guides, is learning to trust what you receive from them. So there you go. I hope that was helpful. I hope that you are walking away with some new tools, some new confidence in how to connect to your guides. And just know that they don't always send you the full message, the full answer for all of your questions. Sometimes they speak in riddles. So follow the breadcrumbs. If you're connecting with them and it doesn't quite make sense yet, just follow those breadcrumbs. And I promise they will make sense eventually. All right, I am out of here. I'm going to send you all the love. I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful day. And I cannot wait to chat with you. All right. Have a wonderful day. Take care.